He used to believe money problems were always loud. Debt notices, rent deadlines, empty bank accounts, stress you could see coming from a mile away. But in reality, his problem was quieter than that. It showed up in something as small as a morning decision. Coffee. Every day started the same way. He would stand in front of a small coffee shop in the city, holding a few coins in his hand, staring at the menu like it was slightly above his reality. The price wasn't high. Not objectively. But in his mind, it still felt like a test. A test of discipline. A test of control. A test of whether he was doing the right thing with money. So he would hesitate. Sometimes he would buy it. Most times, he wouldn't. Because somewhere along the way, he had built a belief that sounded smart. If I stop spending on small things, I'll become rich. It felt logical. Even responsible. Because that's what most financial advice sounds like at the surface level. Cut expenses, reduce waste, live below your means. So he took it seriously. Maybe too seriously. He worked as a delivery driver in a crowded city. Long hours. Unpredictable income. Constant movement. No stability, just rhythm. Some days were good. Some days were barely enough. And that unpredictability slowly started shaping how he thought about everything. He stopped thinking in terms of opportunity. He started thinking in terms of protection. Not, how do I grow? But, what do I avoid so I don't fall behind? That shift didn't feel dramatic. It felt responsible. Almost mature. He started tracking every expense. Every small purchase became a decision. Every decision became a calculation. And coffee became the symbol of everything he wanted to fix. It's just unnecessary spending, he told himself. This is why people stay stuck. So he stopped buying it completely. No coffee. No small snacks. No small comforts. Just discipline. Just saving. Just control. At first, it felt like progress. Like he was finally doing something right. Like he had finally found the missing piece. But life didn't change the way he expected it to. Weeks turned into months. The numbers changed slightly. A bit more saved at the end of the month. A bit less spending overall. But the actual feeling of life didn't change. The stress was still there. The exhaustion was still there. The cycle of work, sleep, repeat was still there. And that created a strange contradiction in his mind. Because if discipline was supposed to fix everything, why didn't it feel like anything was improving? Instead of questioning the approach, he doubled down on it. He started looking for more things to cut. Cheaper meals. Fewer breaks. Less spending on anything that wasn't necessary. And without noticing it, his entire financial mindset started narrowing. Every question became about reduction. What can I remove? What can I avoid? What can I stop doing? And slowly, something important disappeared from his thinking. He stopped asking, how do I earn more? One evening, after a long shift, he parked his bike near a small cafe waiting for his next delivery order. He wasn't planning to go inside. He was just resting. But through the glass window, he noticed something that made him stay still longer than usual. Inside, people weren't just drinking coffee. They were talking. Laughing, sharing ideas. Some were alone, but focused, working on laptops. Others were in small groups, discussing something that seemed important. It didn't feel like a place for coffee. It felt like a place where things started. Ideas. Conversations. Opportunities. And for the first time, a strange thought entered his mind. Not loud. Just uncomfortable. What am I actually avoiding? Not coffee. But everything that existed around it. Connection. Energy. Awareness. Possibility. He looked at his own reflection in the glass. Tired. Quiet. Always moving, but not really going anywhere. And something inside that pattern started to feel off. That night, something changed the direction of his thinking. He met another delivery driver near a waiting point for orders. Older. Slower. calm in a way that didn't match the chaos of the job. They started talking because that's what happens when you wait long enough in the same place. At some point, the younger driver mentioned his rule. I don't buy coffee. I stopped it completely. It's unnecessary spending. He expected agreement. Maybe even respect. Instead, the older driver just nodded slightly and smiled. Not in judgment, but in recognition. Then he said something simple, something that stayed longer than the conversation itself. You think poverty is caused by spending small money? He paused. But most of the time, it's caused by thinking small for too long. The younger driver didn't respond immediately. Because it didn't sound motivational. It sounded uncomfortable. Like something that had been true for a long time, but never said clearly. The older driver continued. I used to think the same way. I cut everything. No spending. No comfort. I thought I was being responsible. Another pause. But I wasn't building anything. I was just surviving more efficiently. That word stayed. Surviving. Not improving. Not growing. Just optimizing survival. Then he added, I stayed stuck for years like that. Because I was focused on reducing my life instead of expanding it. That sentence didn't feel like advice. It felt like a mirror. Over the next few days, the younger driver couldn't forget that conversation. It didn't change his life immediately. But it changed what he started noticing. He still worked the same job. Still had the same bike. The same routes. The same income structure. But now, instead of only tracking expenses, he started observing something else. Patterns. He began to notice which hours had more demand. Which areas had better tips. Which times wasted fuel with low return. Which habits made him tired before peak earning periods. For the first time, he wasn't thinking like someone trying to avoid losing money. He was thinking like someone trying to understand how money actually moved. And that shift was subtle, but powerful. Because it changed the question he asked every day. He stopped asking, what should I cut? And started asking, what actually increases my income here? At first, the changes were small. He adjusted working hours slightly, avoided low-demand periods, focused more on peak times, reduced wasted movement, optimized routes. Nothing dramatic. No sudden success story moment. But something started happening that he had never experienced before. Consistency. His earnings didn't spike, but they stabilized. And then slowly improved. Not because he was working harder, but because he was making fewer low-value decisions. And that built something more important than money at first. Confidence in his judgment. One afternoon, after a shift, he found himself near the same cafe again. This time, he didn't just look through the glass. He walked in. Not out of impulse. Not out of craving. But intention. He ordered a coffee. And sat down. No rush. No guilt. No internal debate about whether it was worth it. Just sitting. Observing. Thinking. And in that moment, something finally clicked in a way that wasn't emotional. It was structural. Coffee wasn't the problem. It never was. The problem was the belief that financial progress comes from shrinking your life. Because when you believe that, everything becomes about restriction. And restriction feels like progress, even when nothing is actually growing. Months passed. His income improved. Not because he eliminated coffee, but because he stopped organizing his entire financial thinking around elimination. He started focusing on systems instead of sacrifices. Timing instead of restriction. Awareness instead of guilt. And over time, that changed everything more than any small saving ever could. Because saving small amounts can only protect where you are. But improving decisions can change where you're going. Looking back, he realized the real shift was never about money in the first place. It was about identity. At one point he believed, I am someone who stays afloat by cutting everything. But later that changed into something else. I am someone who improves the system I'm in. And that difference quietly separated stagnation from growth. The coffee myth is simple. It tells you that wealth is built by removing small pleasures. But in reality, that approach has a limit. You can only cut so much. You can only restrict so far. Eventually, there is nothing left to remove, and if nothing has been built in its place, you remain exactly where you started. Because real financial change doesn't come from shrinking life. It comes from expanding capability, expanding thinking, expanding decisions, and building systems that make better outcomes inevitable over time. And sometimes, the most expensive belief isn't the coffee you buy. It's the idea that you can become financially free by making your life smaller instead of making your thinking larger.